It's incredible what you can find tucked away in remote parts of the British countryside. Nestled in the village of Mosterton is a small family ceramics business. The oldest and founding member is David Eeles, and after 50 years... 3 generations of the Eeles family are still here in the village of Mosterton in Dorset, throwing pots and earning a living from their wares. David, now 79, focuses on decoration. He uses fine oriental brushes, and his style is very much influenced by early Chinese and Japanese ceramics. Hello, David. A pleasure to meet you.
And you, Paul.
Well, thank you for taking time out to talk to me today. Sit down, please.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me.
Nearly 80 years old and like a true artisan, still working with your hands. Why was clay your medium in the first place? What drew you to clay?
In art school, initially they gave you all these wonderful crafts to try. One that came along at the age of about 15 was ceramics, and I just got hooked by it. I mean, it's such a plastic medium. You can make anything with it.
It's very versatile.
It's very versatile. I've developed a technique of glazes and colours over the past 60 years, which are mainly based on Chinese work. But it means that when you find one that really works, you hang on to it. One of the greatest crafts in the world, without any shadow of a doubt. I love it. I'm still doing it, and I shall be doing it till my dying day.
Well, I hope you do, and I hope there's many more years to come as well.
I hope so.
David hasn't always lived in Dorset, and his formative years were spent in London. Like many aspiring artists of his generation, he attended Willesden College of Arts and Crafts in northwest London. It was a thought-provoking and inspirational time for the young David, who, shortly after graduating, married Patricia, a fellow student, and set up shop in Hampstead's artists' quarters. Ceramics was their specialism, and their pottery soon became a thriving part of London's arts and crafts scene, their traditional slip pots being sold in some of London's most fashionable shops. By now, the Eeles family was expanding, and so they decided to leave London behind, choosing instead a 17th century coaching inn for the family-run business. What is so unique about the Eeles ceramics business is that it has been, and continues to be, a truly family affair. Patricia is less hands-on these days, but sons Simon and Ben have worked alongside their father since their teens. Well, your father was inspired by potters from the Far East, so I guess you're carrying on the tradition here.
Yeah, all these glazes you see here are all Oriental type glazes. We've got a Chino glaze there. We've got Chun glazes here. It's sort of an off-white, nice blue colour, and that's made up with English materials, granites and feldspars from Cornwall. We've got a molecular formula that we work to, which is the molecular formula of a Chinese glaze.
Gosh, you're almost chemists, aren't you?
You
really,
have to be, to get good quality glazes all the time.
Yeah.
The recipes are all kept and all written down, so we get exactly the same recipe each time. And that's how we do it.
The Oriental-inspired Eeles family pottery has been making Japanese raku-style pots for 10 years. It's a look that's achieved at the glazing stage, and they've kindly agreed to let me have a go. Right, the glazing.
Yep. OK, Paul, what we've got to do is we've got to dip it in the slip and then the glaze. So if I do one, to show you what to do. So we dip it in here, just down to the top.
OK, just to the neck.
Just to the neck. Gently. Lift it up, let it drip. Stop it dripping, and then you just put it down there.
OK.
So if you do yours, then that one will be drying.
OK. It's exceptionally porous at this
stage. It is, yeah, it's very porous, so the actual moisture gets sucked out very quickly.
Oh, look, there's a little tiny bit missing there.
So I can go back in again. There we go, that's fine. And you just drop that down there. OK, so what we've got to do now, Paul, is we've got to put the glaze on. So you have a go, down to the same mark as you did before. That's right, you just hold it there, it'll just all drip off.
That's quite satisfying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That'll be the bit that'll go hard glass-like in the firing and chip off the pot later.
There we go. And then it becomes a waterproof vessel. You can fill it up with water, put some flowers in it.
That's right. Hopefully it all fires well and it doesn't blow up in the firing.
No, it won't. While the glaze dries out a bit, there's an opportunity for me to catch up with older son Ben by the Chinese-inspired triple-tier kiln. Basically, that's an oven for finishing pots, and this one takes 5,000 pieces. Ben, this is incredible. 3-chamber kiln, and you helped build this with your dad?
I did, yes. I was 16. I just left school, and it was one of the first jobs I had with Father. We built it over the winter, and it took us about 3 months to build it. It's like a giant bonfire, but it takes us 35 hours to fire, and it uses about 6 tons of wood altogether to fire it up all the way through. And even after that, it takes 4 days to cool down, and it's still hot enough inside to bake a potatoes.
You've got a lot of work in there. Is that a year's work for the
Yes, it is. Fired up once a year. We used to do it about twice a year, but we do the raku a lot now, so that's sort of taken over. So shall we go off and see the raku kiln now?
Yeah, because that's fired up, isn't it?
It is.
So they're ready to go in now. They've been warmed up in the electric kiln, and they're ready to go in. So what we'll do is we're going to pop these in here using tongs, because that's pretty hot in there. That's about 800 degrees in there. That's the one you did look, Paul. You can see the bit that you missed the glaze on the top there.
Sure.
So that's yours. That goes in there. As I say, they'll be in there for about half an hour, and then we'll lift them all out again. So we've got a little digital read around here so we can tell what the temperature is in the kiln. So that's 633 degrees centigrade. So as we just stoked now, you'll see that'll start to rise.
I tell you what, it is so cold. It really is cold. There's a bit of wind blowing. We're in the middle of February, but this is the kind of job I guess you look forward to doing if you're a potter in all weathers.
We're all pyromaniacs at heart, Paul, so we love a bit of flame. Yeah. What's the temperature, Paul?
Yeah, that's 1,000 degrees now.
Thank you.
That's hot.
A quick look in here, Paul. See, that's the temperature it is in there. You can see that.
Ooh, what a white heat. That's got a shiny look to it now. I think that's ready to go.
Yeah, get them out with these tongs because they're very hot in there. Just lift it out and then drop straight in the sawdust, and that'll catch fire, and then Ben has to put the sawdust on. So now it's gone in the sawdust, and you can see that's creating a lot of smoke.
I can.
And what that's doing is penetrating through the cracked glaze into the pot. So when the pot's cold, you chip the glaze off, and you've got that ghosted pattern of smoke into the pot.
Sure, I understand that. And because that sawdust is so uneven and the air gets through it, that's how you create those lines, isn't it?
Yeah, it sort of goes just through the glaze.
Yeah.
So just as much smoke as you can get.
Yeah.
I can see the appeal of using the raku technique. There's something incredibly immediate and gratifying about the whole process, and the results are fabulous.
Well, they've cooled down. We've given it 10 minutes, and now for the moment of truth. There we go. Tip it out.
Tip it out. And there it comes, there, all looking rather black at the moment. So
Does,
now I
doesn't
hand
it?
over
Looking
to
sorry
Simon.
for itself.
Yeah.
So you can see now where all the smoke has gone through all the little pinholes into the pot behind and created that smoke pattern. So there's a little bit of clay here that needs to be washed off later, so that'll all be washed off. It's beautiful, isn't it?
That's really clever.
Look at that lovely strong line through there, Paul. It's beautiful, that lovely black contrast. And you know this one's yours, Paul, because you've got that black bit on there. It's where they didn't get the glaze quite to the top.
Yeah.
I think that's the nicest one of the lot.
Oh, you've just been kind.
No.
Beginner's luck in that dip, I think.
You've got a job. When are you going to come back and do it again for us?
Maybe in the summer.
It's been wonderful finding out about such a long-lasting and successful family business. Here's to many more years of Eeles pot making.